Kaufman Corner podcast coming at you live here on a Thursday morning, 8:30 a.m. when we get things rolling here. David Lesky from Inside the Crown, Les Norman, former Kansas City Royal, breaking the norm on Sports Radio 810 WHB. My name is Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. We are talking some Royals baseball. We've got a huge trade, guys. I think this sets the course. The Kansas City Royals, the return of Adam Frazier. What does this trade mean for the Royals? What does it do? Does it set up some other things? Does this really actually give us a light into where the Royals are going? We'll talk about that. What trades are next? Where could they be looking? What trades do we want to see? Is there anything that's out there? Is there a player we think they need to be looking to move? I will talk about that. The All-Star game, our thoughts on the swing off, who got in the game, interviewing the players during the game. A number of different aspects to cover on that. We'll react to the Royals draft. Who is the fifth starter for your Kansas City Royals? You're going to have to figure that out pretty soon. We'll talk about that, as well as look ahead to the second half. It's all coming up right here, right now on the Kaufman Corner podcast.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro. David Lesky is an accomplished author and the publisher of the Inside the Crown Royals baseball newsletter. Les Norman is a former Royals outfielder. He's the host of Breaking the Norm with Les Norman on Sports Radio 810 WHB, as well as the author of Teaching the Tools of Hitting. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by David Starnes Allstate Insurance, covering all the important things in your world. Home, business, life, and even the fun stuff as well. Motorcycle, boat, ATV, you name it, get with Dave and he'll have you covered. Give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, including North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. Don't put those insurance needs off any longer. Get with Dave today. He'll give you peace of mind for the things in your life most important to you. Now, here are your hosts, David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. Off and running here on a Thursday. Remember, if you're catching us via the podcast, we appreciate it. You can also be a part of the conversation, be a part of the live stream Thursday mornings at 8:30 a.m. That's when we usually come your way. We do have one coming up at the trade deadline, or we'll swing around to the evening as well, but just keep following us on social media. We'll keep you abreast of when that is going to happen. Let's start right now. The return of Adam Frazier, Les. He is back. Cam Devaney, who had 18 home runs in the minor leagues, who they'd called up a couple times, who they didn't play. I don't know. I mean, the conspiracy theorists say they just didn't want everybody to see how good Cam Devaney was at the big leagues, right? Keep him on the shelf so that when they move him for their little pet project, their little buddy Adam Frazier, no one will realize how good this guy is. I actually had an email that was sent to me that was basically laying that out. So I thought that was, kind of clever. I'm like, wow, you've covered all the bases on how this works. This is not a popular deal. Cam Devaney is, an aging minor leaguer. So I think most people would agree that the best case scenario that people wanted to hang around Cam Devaney was like, oh, this is Whit Merrifield 2.0, right? A guy who'd been in the minors for a long time. Whatever he was going to be, I think we know what Adam Frazier is. Last year reaction to this deal is what?
When I first saw it, sometimes when you see a headline and you get kind of teased or drawn into it and you click on it, and what it really is someone's imagination. What if this team traded for this or something like that? And the level of the trade, I thought, wow, if this is kind of them imagining or dreaming, they must be really bored, because this is not a top line trade for them to print something like that. So I kind of like my stutter right now. I was like, what are we doing? What is that? Adam Frazier's back. No, I think he's hitting, updated stats this morning. He's hitting 255, 3 home runs, 21 RBIs, which on this team isn't bad. So in and of itself, I have no clue. I'm not a fan of the trade. However, I'm intrigued because there's Massey and India implications here. One, is Massey more injured than we think he is? And two, is this eventually going to now clear a way for them to, again, trade Jonathan India, who has actually gotten pretty hot right now, and he's actually tradable? So, I don't know yet. I feel like this is part one of something else, and I hope it is, because in and of itself, this trade just to improve this team doesn't really improve this team. How are you going to use him? If you traded for him just to put him on the bench, and he's obviously making more money than Cam Devaney is, it doesn't make sense to me. So I'm a little confused, but I'm going to try to reel back on the skepticism and negativity, wait and see. And hopefully there's a part two to this thing that makes a little more sense, because this one doesn't.
Yeah, that's the thing here, David, is just, obviously that's the only way you're going to popularize.
Yes, that word.
The only way you're going to make this popular with the fans is going to be that it's a part of something that's bigger. Does Jonathan India get traded and they get the hot outfield prospect that they want? Like, is there a bigger picture to this? But I mean, the one thing that is clear, they did not value Cam Devaney, right? Like, they did not think he was going to be a usable piece in the big leagues. Is that a clear statement?
Yes, I think so. The one thing I will say, if this wasn't the All-Star break, we would talk about this trade for about a minute and move on, because it's a nothing. It's a nothing trade. It means nothing. They traded a career minor leaguer who's 28. I like Cam Devaney. I really do. I wanted him to be in the big leagues with the Royals. I wanted him to succeed with the Royals. I wanted all of that. But he's also 28 in AAA for is it the third time or the fourth time? I mean,
maybe fourth.
It might, it's been a while. So to me, it's just kind of they made a move to make a move. But I also understand it to some extent. This is not me saying I like it. I was very much against Adam Frazier the first time they signed him. I don't like him on the team the second time, but he's a good defender at second base, which they don't have right now. Nick Lofton is not an especially good defender at second base. He's fine. Jonathan India is bad at second base. So Devaney probably would have been good, but he's also a shortstop. We've seen Michael Garcia go to second and not look very good there. And he's a better left side of the infielder. So, there's that aspect. There is the aspect that Adam Frazier's 82 weighted runs created plus is, I believe, it's actually 8th on the Royals. We have a group text, and I said he's 7th. Luke Maley is first. So,
yeah,
7th-ish, let's call that.
Yeah.
But, I do think that, well, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't say I think. I hope that there is more, that this is the first domino, because if it's just a move to make a move, I guess in that sense too, I'm like Les, I'm going back and forth on everything, but if he's just depth.
Why did Les take a stray there? Go back and forth on your own. You don't have to label what Les said back and forth.
Les admitted it. Les admitted that he was stuttering on it. All right.
Yeah, I did.
We were in the same boat. I'm putting us together here as comrades in this. But I guess if you're looking at this as bench depth, there are worse players than Adam Frazier, who plays a good second base, can play the outfield a little bit. Devaney doesn't play the outfield. I don't know that it matters, but also when your outfielders are what they are, throw as many darts at that wall, I guess. Throw the spaghetti against the wall. I don't know. I just don't. It doesn't make. There just doesn't seem a reason for it, unless the only thing that I will say is if it's the 9th inning on, I don't even know who the Marlins closer is, so I don't care about this weekend. But if Ryan Presley is coming in the 8th or 9th inning on Monday against the Cubs, and they've got a righty up, they want to pinch it with a lefty, I would rather have Adam Frazier at the plate than John Rave, which is not praising Adam Frazier, by the way. But I would rather have him come up to pinch it. And so in that regard, if that's the role, all right, fine, whatever. But one thing, and I will say this, and I want to couch this as much as possible. I did not put this out there because I could not confirm it. Somebody told me that they had heard, this is like the 8th hand rumor, that the Royals and Mariners were close on Jonathan India before the break and before the draft. My guess is there was a competitive balance pick there, so that's why it was before the draft. I don't know. I'm not saying that's happening, but this does add a little bit of fuel to that fire, making some sense. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that it's the Cam Devaney part of it, I think, is where people are. I mean, I don't think anyone's thrilled about Adam Frazier coming in. But I think people get it. He's a Jag, right? And you got to have those guys. They obviously have a comfort level with them. They like something about him. I'm sure there's some advanced analytics that say he's probably a pretty good defender at multiple spots. That's one of the things that we're looking at, right? That we're not looking at when we talk about the offensive numbers. But it's the fact that Cam Devaney showed that he had power. He also shows that he has on-base ability, at least at AAA for the third year. And that has not translated. That didn't translate for John Rave. That hasn't, numbers in AAA for guys that are, it hasn't translated for young guys. I was going to say that are like, older in AAA don't translate, but it didn't translate for Jack Caglione either. I mean, his numbers down there were great in the 5 minutes he was there. They haven't translated, but I think people want to see it and know it. They know that there's no ceiling with Adam Frazier. Adam Frazier, what you see is what you get. In fact, actually, what you see right now, the numbers that Les rattled off are probably not what you're going to get. That's probably his hot streak. It's in there. Curtis labeled out for us on the program. It was like from May something to June 9th. That was his hottest point of the season. And he's not likely to do that again. And so the numbers probably figured to erode back to the 565 OPS, I think it was, he had last year with the Royals. And so what you have there. I don't think there's a hatred for Adam Frazier. I think everybody just wants better than Adam Frazier.
Yeah.
And I think and he's not really that expensive, right? $600,000. I think the Royals owe him the rest of the year. But it's like, okay, I know my view of it is, and I think this is the fans' view is, I know that you have data that says Cam Devaney's not going to be a player. But I also know that you kept Whit Merrifield down for Adalberto Mondesi. You clearly had a reason for doing that. You trusted the talent of Mondesi over Whit Merrifield. You thought Whit Merrifield was a 4A player, and you were wrong. He eventually got to the big leagues, and you were wrong. And I think as a fan of the Royals, I don't want you to be wrong again, right? I want to make sure. I want you to bring this guy up, let him play like John Rave, let him play like Drew Waters. Show me the 3 or 4 games where they don't take him serious and he's kind of hot. And then the next 30 games where he doesn't hit at all, and prove to me that he's not, at least in some kind of small sample size, a big league player. I think you're right, David. In the end of the day, this is a nothing trade, right? I don't think it's going to matter. But couple that with the fact that, we just saw 2 former Royals play in the All-Star game. Brett Rooker, who the Royals quickly took a look at and went, I can't do it. And then
O'Hearn?
Ryan O'Hearn, start in the All-Star game. There and you're not hitting. There's reason for the fans to be like, I'm not sure what you know what you're doing with this. And so at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to go to Pittsburgh and hit. I think his story will be more Jacob Junis. And that is, everybody was all hot and bothered that Jacob Junis, the Royals didn't make it work with him. And look what he's doing, because he had 5 seconds where he was kind of hot with the Giants, and he's had some moments here and there. He's kind of been a journeyman, but in the end of the day, Jacob Junis is a jag in the big leagues, and Cam Devaney probably profiles less than that. The question is, like, what do we want to see, Les? Like you mentioned, part of a bigger deal. David mentioned some rumors about Jonathan India. Like, is that okay? He's the second baseman for right now. They're going to give Michael Massey a shot next year, but ultimately Jonathan India is going for an outfielder. Is that what we want to see? That'll make us, more content in this deal?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, if I say outfielder, then obviously being a former outfielder, that's my spot. I mean, I feel like we do still need a corner outfielder, but I also still think, Kyle Isbell's done a great job, at least defensively, but we still need also a center fielder that's going to not just be good at defense, but produce. We need a second baseman that's going to be good at defense and produce. I mean, why is it that we can only get a guy that can hit and can't play defense, but the majority of the time we get a guy that can play average defense and can't hit? I mean, that's all over the field. Not to mention, and we didn't see this coming, but right now, and I know we're going to talk about it, we need a starting pitcher to kind of help what's going on. Now, maybe next season we may not, but right now we kind of do, because it's a struggle in that 5th starter spot. So I was kind of hoping of a trade that, we would see that corner outfield spot. I mean, I don't think that they could have traded for a top line second baseman and just say, oh, okay, Massey, you're done. India, well, if it was a straight up for an India, okay, that's fine. But I just don't think that would have happened. So I guess my first thing would have been a valuable corner outfielder that could hit and impact, even if he already had a couple of years on the deal where he was guaranteed to be there for a few years, but just something that was going to be impactful to show. I mean, look, I was the outfielder like a John Rave that mean, he got to play a lot more than I did, but even so, I was so for John Rave. I've cheered for John Rave. I'm begging you, like, please get 3 hits today, get 2 hits today, just show something. And I just feel like the experiment is done, but he gets to stay because they just don't have any other choices. And I'm just tired of watching the Royals be in that same position every day where a corner outfielder, this is just our best choice. It's all we have. And it's not even close to being good enough statistically. I don't dislike John Rave. I love the kid. I want him to succeed, but he just can't. He hasn't. And he's been given every shot. So I would have liked to have seen that. So that's why I'm saying before, too, that this has to be part one of a meaningless trade. And if it's not, then I'm not like throwing my hands up, but I'm throwing my hands up, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What do you want to see, David?
Well, look, I mean, we're going to talk about that 5th starter here soon, but maybe India's for a starter. I mean, they need an arm. We've talked about this down the road too, and it's ironic. Maybe it's India for Brady Singer. I don't know, but we
wouldn't that be something?
No, that would be crazy. But they need pitchers beyond 2025 as well. So, and I don't know. I was looking at the Mariners roster. They don't really have a fit for Jonathan India alone, but maybe it is a bigger trade that India is just a part of. I don't know. They do have starters, and they do need a second baseman. So that's where it fits. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's India necessarily, but they obviously need a corner outfielder or 2, or maybe 3, honestly, if you want to start looking at a platoon. I don't know what the move is, and Adam Frazier is not a long-term solution, but it does make you think, okay, is Massey's injury worse than they said? Or have they said we're done with Massey, which would seem to be a little bit rash to me, given what he did last year. I don't know that I know how bad he was before he got hurt, but I don't know that I'd walk away from Michael Massey entirely right now. Feels like a really bad point to say we're done with you after he hit leadoff in the playoffs. I mean, come on. But they have to go get something that fits better with this team. I've said this for, I don't know, 5 years, 4 years. The puzzle doesn't fit. And it worked last year because they made it work, which good on, I'm going to say this, good on Mac Quatraro. He got it done. He was able to put the puzzle pieces together to put a team that made the playoffs with a puzzle that didn't fit. But this year, it still doesn't fit. They were playing Jonathan India in left field for a good chunk of the first month and a half of the season. That's how badly it doesn't fit. And they need to build a team that the puzzle pieces fit a little bit better. Even if the talent is a little bit less, I think they will perform better if the puzzle works.
Yeah. Todd says about Cam Devaney, I assume he'll rake in Pittsburgh. Nicholas, honestly, I feel like it was an attaboy trade. If they knew he wasn't going to play in the majors, then they're being good to the player, sending him where he can get to the big leagues. Randy, tongue in cheek, offense is fixed. Where do I buy playoff tickets?
Hey, Adam Frazier has made the playoffs the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Frazier's batting .302 with runners in scoring position. Okay. There's at least something there that's, and then Terry, God forbid if we convert another infielder, talking about where it is, and he says, Frazier's not a long-term solution. This team is going nowhere, which is kind of like, if that's what doesn't connect, Terry. I mean, is if they're going nowhere, why are you bringing a player that has no upside? Why not take a shot at Cam Devaney and find out if you're wrong? That's the part that, again, I come back to, that I think that the fans look at it and say, okay, this is a little bit irritating. We'll talk about the All-Star game. A lot of Royals got in there, got even some success. One Royal didn't get in late. We'll ask about why that happened after you hear from our friends at David Starnes Allstate Insurance. David Starnes Allstate Insurance, serving the Kansas City area and all throughout the Midwest. With David Starnes Allstate, it's not just about fender benders. Beyond traditional safeguards, enjoy perks like roadside assistance for unexpected breakdowns, transportation expense coverage when your car is in the shop, auto replacement protection to keep you on the road in style, and much more. You can give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, including North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. David Starnes, Allstate Insurance.
Green Light Dispensary, voted Kansas City's best dispensary and your go-to for quick, convenient service. With 4 locations across the Kansas City area, we're never far away. Our drive-through and express windows make it easy to get in, get out, and get on with your day. Our award-winning service is powered by a team of experts dedicated to making your experience seamless and enjoyable. It's no wonder we've been voted the best. Convenient locations, fast service, knowledgeable staff. That's the Green Light difference. Visit us today.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the All-Star game. Les, did you have a reaction to the All-Star game? It ended up being a really good game. Came right down to the end. We saw something we've never seen. I don't know if you're aware of that. Tim Kirkchin told me that for the immediate 30 minutes following the game when I clicked over to ESPN. His analysis was that we've never seen this before. I thought that was really deep dive. Other than that, Les, did you have a reaction to the All-Star game overall?
I mean, it was exciting. I'm going to watch the All-Star game every year, no matter what. Especially, I mean, I have since I was a little kid, especially since the home field advantage playoff implication stuff on the winning team. So, and I just love watching guys. I love the fact that they brought their own uniforms back. I didn't like all that fluff of everyone's got the one uniform because it's hard for people to know who plays for what. I'm getting old, so sometimes I don't know who that guy plays for, even though I'm in the media now. So I really like that. I really enjoy that. Find your own guys. I think it's great for the fans. And I actually do like you don't burn pitchers and you don't shut the game off in a tie. I like that home run kind of thing at the end. I think that makes a lot more excitement. I think it's also a reward for the players to come on the field and just kind of watch that. I think that's fun. So, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. We'll probably talk about this. I'm not a fan of guys leaving the stadium early. I mean, I know if they got to go on a talk show late at night or something like that, okay, I get that, but schedule around that and stick around, for situations like that. If you're going to have that at the end, then Ohtani and Judge and those guys need to be in. Your home run hitters need to be in at the end if you're going to do that. Now, it was still exciting because we got some Kyle Schwarber magic. That was fantastic. I love that. I love Schwarber's personality. I love the way he plays the game. I love the fact that a lot of people are afraid to even pitch him inside because he will destroy somebody in a fight. So that's even fun. So, it was fun for me. I really enjoyed it. I did not watch the home run derby. I'm not a big fan of – I picked Cal Raleigh. I'm going to go ahead and say that, pat myself on the back. Picked him. Did not pick Jazz Chisholm. That was a good pick for me. But, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it was an entertaining game, I think. And by the way, you mentioned Jonathan Aranda, I think, was somebody who nobody knew who he was.
Yeah.
Got in there. Thank God he was wearing the uniform so you could at least, know which team to go to try to find him on the roster. And yet he's who the American League's, hopes came down to. As a kid, I remember crying when the American League lost every single All-Star game of my entire childhood. If you grew up in the era of George Brett and Frank White, and the NL was on this heater where they won, I think it was, 13 out of 14, 14 out of 15, something like that. So like every year. And I remember crying. I just wanted the American League to win, Mom. I still would like the American League to win. I know nobody takes it as serious as I did as a kid, but Les hit on it there, David, that how can guys be on a plane and on the way out? Like this is pretty simple. If Major League Baseball thinks the All-Star game is important, which they better, because it's one of the few things that actually draws a rating. It's the only thing that draws a decent rating during the regular season. It's one of the major things that the networks buy when they're buying the television package. Really what they're buying is your playoffs. 2/3 of the value is what has been equated to me in the baseball television contract is in just having the playoffs. It's almost commercial filler just to have the regular season. But the All-Star game is a piece that they want. How is it not part of the collective bargaining agreement that when you're selected, you will be there? If you're hurt, okay, well, we got people who can give you treatment there. You get on a plane and you show up in your uniform and you wave and you're around and you hang out and you don't leave till the game is over. That includes the media session afterwards. Why would you go cover this game? When it's over, you don't know if the people you want to go talk to are even going to be there to talk to at the end. So why would you even cover this game? They're at a time where ESPN is walking away from carrying their games. And if people don't remember, when ESPN walked away from the NHL, they acted like it didn't exist. And I'm pretty intrigued how and ESPN doesn't spend a lot of time on baseball as it is now. They spend more time talking about some NBA rumored trade on any given night than they do on the baseball highlights, and yet you can't even keep everybody in attendance. And ESPN has a whole crew on set there. They're not even carrying the game, and you're basically saying, yeah, go ahead. We don't need you. I mean, David, what's your thoughts on what you saw?
Well, I mean, look, Jonathan Aranda is who everybody came to see. So that's the important thing is he got to bat last. And that, I still can't believe that. That's unbelievable. But yes, I agree. Especially for the starters, they're voted in by the fans. I mean, you are there because the fans said, we want to watch you. And I know they want to watch them play, but they also want to hear, oh, how cool was it to be on first base next to Freddie Freeman? Or how, whatever. I don't know. That's a terrible question. I wouldn't ask that. Whatever you want to hear after the game. And they don't get to hear that. And now with the swing off, you don't get to have the best. And I don't even know the rules. Do you have to be still in the game to participate in that? Or wait, was Alonso out? He was already out. So no, you don't have to be.
Yeah, it was just your pick, coach's pick.
Yeah.
So they did it on Saturday, so they weren't even done playing. So they had to reach out to him and say, "Hey, do you want to do this?" Which
are you willing?
I don't know why you had to do it on Saturday. Why couldn't have, when the guys came together in the first meeting, be like, "All right, show of hands, who's willing to swing in this?"
Or like in the fifth inning, who's willing? You don't even have to do it before the game. But it doesn't make sense to me. Even like Tarek Skubal came out in street clothes.
Yeah,
you can't shower after the game.
That's not a good look.
I mean, I get it. You pitched an inning 3.5 hours ago. Okay, whatever. But I don't know. I would.
But it's an advertisement that the guys that you all came to see don't care.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
They are ready for their vacation. Which I'm ready for my vacation too when it comes.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a million people telling me they want to see me.
Right. And unless you mentioned, the when the All-Star game used to settle who had home field advantage. I loved when they had that. Curtis hated it. He's glad it's gone. I loved it because it did. The tied All-Star game was crap, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not my first choice to go to a gimmick, which, let's be honest, that's what this is. Mm-hmm. But it's at least deciding it on the field, and it was exciting. It's a good gimmick. And to me, there's even things you could take from the swing off to the home run derby. Let's say, oh, should we do the home run derby this way? I do think, one of the common complaints that I think we hear is that, we don't get to see the ball land because here's another pitch and here's another pitch. Mm-hmm. And we just kind of want to watch the majesty of the home run from hit all the way to landing. And so I kind of like it's outs, outs with the clock, plenty of time. But because I understand that they don't want guys taking 58 pitches in between swings. So it's got to be, there's got to be a pacing there. But this was a nice way to it's based on outs. We get to watch the whole home run. It was exciting. And how much more exciting would it have been if Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge, were part of it? By the way, Kyle Schwarber and Pete Alonso are probably the only two guys that you would have picked if you had a full list. I don't even know that I would pick Brett Rooker. He might have made the list as well, but certainly Bobby Wood Jr. should have been the choice over what we saw from the American League after Rooker, and he wasn't. And so and again, I go back to, you had to make the decision on Saturday. And so I thought, okay, Aaron, did you not think this through on what it was? And he's got an out when you make the decision on Saturday. His out is, I'm worried about my team. Okay. I don't have time to worry about a maybe swing off. I know what happened, but how many All-Star games end up tied in the ninth inning? Not many. This was highly improbable. No, I didn't spend 1 second thinking about it. I just got some names and threw it down there. That's kind of a decent out for him, but it shouldn't be. Wait till Monday, right? Mm-hmm. Wait till everybody gets into town and then do it. Why did they need this 4 days in advance? Give him time to figure out what his plan is for how he's going to play guys, and then go. It just shows, and I understand. Hey, first year, worst year, right? If you're in marketing or if you're doing charity events, hey, first year, worst year. We're gonna get through it, figure out what we don't know, what are our mistakes, and we'll do it better. I understand. There's an element of that. But this is one that could have been you can't miss this. Like, we want the big names. And even if it was, okay, we know Aaron Judge is going to be on a private jet by the time we get around to this. Bobby Witt's not. You knew what your plan was.
Al Raleigh was in uniform still.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
He won the home run derby the day before.
And Bobby Witt Jr. was 10 feet from winning it last year.
No, less than that. It hit the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 3 feet.
Yeah.
No, it's just stupid.
Well,
it's all dumb. But it goes back. Maybe it's the Aaron Boone Royals conspiracy. He doesn't want the Royals.
Nothing like a conspiracy.
I love it.
Whip fans into a frenzy, right? I'll take it. How about the interviewing guys while they're playing?
Ugh.
Les, where do you stand on that?
Okay, so I did think it was a neat moment when you have Jack Wilson in the stands. He's getting to talk to his son on the field while he's playing. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that, and even had some. I had some moments like, dang, I wish my dad would have been there when I was a kid for that moment. I mean, it was just, that to me was really cool, because you had a kid that was just happy to be there. It wasn't saying what the fans want, the deadpan stuff. Like, listening to Matt Olson when he was on there. I know Matt Olson's a big name in Atlanta, and I get that home field guy, but some of those guys just don't have media savvy when they talk. It's boring. I think a little bit it's distracting. I want to hear John Smoltz's take on some things. I want to hear, some of the announcers really talk about some of the things. So I do like it in the fact that the father-son thing, or if you have, like a Petro Armstrong, he made some really cool comments about young players need to be themselves. Quit trying to be somebody you're not. That was fantastic. Even my wife, who has absolutely no interest, who sucks it up, like, I just want to be next to you. If I have to suck up my 10 millionth baseball game in my life with you for 30 years, I'll sit here and be with you and just listen. Even she said, wow, that was really cool. Who is that guy? I'm like, do you see the uniform? Have you not been listening? But she has been. So that's cool. But every inning, every player for the first part of the game, it was a little bit much. I like the idea, but you don't have to do it every single time. Pick a good story like the Wilsons or like a Petro Armstrong, who burst onto the scene. It's an opportunity for people to get to know who he is that are maybe fringe fans, and then limit it to that. Yeah.
David, that was one of the ones Curtis said, is like, I'd like to hear some of the analysis of the guys that are actually playing. It's it all becomes about one guy when you do that. And there are other storylines that are there. And I don't know how you could possibly be focused on playing, right? Like, I mean, it again is somewhat of a statement that this is grab ass. And I think, everyone still says, well, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is still the best of them because they're really playing the game. But it does feel like we're headed down towards an NFL Pro Bowl style of approach to it.
Yeah. It was the best.
Yeah.
It was.
I think it still might be, but the bar has been lowered and lowered and lowered. Like, it doesn't take much to be the best All-Star Game now, David.
Yeah, that's true. The All-Star games are terrible, but I was going to mention those two, Wilson's and Petro Armstrong. Those two were the best.
I thought the Kershaw conversation.
Kershaw was fun. I like talking to pitchers and then cutting the mic before they pitch. You don't hear the grunt, but I thought they did too many of them. That's all it was. Like, do a few fewer. Like, do 4 in the game, 3, something like that. It was just too many, honestly.
Yeah, I would agree. They've got a lot of good going on there. They got a good concept, but they got to figure out the right way to execute the concept. All right, we're going to talk about the Royals draft, what they got out of the draft. What are our thoughts? We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Whataburger. Your favorites are back. Kansas City now for a limited time at all your KC Whataburger locations. Get the Pico de Gallo burger, 2 large beef patties, 2 slices of pepper jack cheese, Pico de Gallo, and creamy cilantro lime. How about the sweet and spicy bacon burger, 2 large beef patties, American and Monterey Jack cheese, bacon, grilled onions, and topped with sweet and spicy pepper sauce. Or grab the patty melt. Even the honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich. They're all perfect with the Whataburger banana pudding shake. Remember, Whataburger's open 24 hours a day. Breakfast served 11 p to 11 a. And don't forget, you can get all your Whataburger favorites and more by downloading the Whataburger app with the QR code. Whataburger, proud sponsor of the Kaufman Corner podcast. David Starnes Allstate Insurance. Elevate your coverage, elevate your confidence, and drive worry-free. Covering all the important things in your world. Home, business, life, and even the fun stuff, as well as your motorcycle, boat, ATV, and you name it. Get with Dave, and he'll get you covered. You can give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. Visit them online or stop into any of their locations, North Kansas City, Liberty, and Branson, Missouri. Don't put those insurance needs off any longer. Get with Dave today. He'll give you peace of mind for the things in your life most important to you. David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. David, let's talk about the draft. Your reaction to what the Royals did. Top heavy. They took a lot of signability guys after day one. What'd you think?
Yeah, I like that because I like the talent they got at the top of the draft. We talked on Monday a little bit because we'd already seen the first round, but the first two picks, in my opinion, if they were flipped, if it was Hammond first and Gamble second, nobody bats an eye. But because it was Gamble first and Hammond second, people thought, oh, they overdrafted. I like both those guys. I do understand the thought process of they're not the patient hitters that people want. But both of them are very, the upside is probably bigger with those two than just about anybody else available. You can make some arguments, obviously, about other guys, but I like those.
Schoolcraft, are you telling me a 6'8" high school left-hander? There's more ups. That was my guy.
You liked him for his name. Come on,
that's a fact.
Be real. I mean, think about tall lefty. He's not going to be good until he's 27.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, I liked what they did on day one specifically. Michael Lombardi is a really interesting pick in the second round. Cameron Millar, who I'm still trying to figure out, is he related to Kevin Millar? Does anybody know? Because I think that would be interesting if he was. But
I'm assuming not, or we would have heard that.
Same. Yeah. But my first thought was he is. The names are too similar. But both those guys have the shape of fastball you like in a pitcher, and the Royals seem to be looking after. Just going down the draft, yeah, it was very signability. Eighth round, was it? Brooks Bryan from Troy, the catcher. Yeah, 8th round.
Hang on. At least AI tells me, yes, Cameron Millar is the son of former MLB player Kevin Millar.
We'll check that out elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what AI says. Sure.
Well, if AI says it's in. But yeah, Brooks and the catcher from Troy, he's really interesting. I had heard.
Oh no, hold on. Is there another Cameron Millar that's a quarterback at the University of North Dakota?
Is there?
That's what it says. It says Cameron Millar is a football player, currently the quarterback of the University of North Dakota.
Cam Millar, yeah.
Okay. So
he was the Raiders picked him. How do you not know this? Come on.
So then I'm going to say no. Now I'm back to no. I don't think he is.
Fair enough. But yeah, Brian. He came into the year as a much higher prospect than there he was. I'd heard some Brian McCann comps, which I think is lazy, probably, but still they were said, so they were out there. And then in the back half, the 11 through 20, they got a couple high school pitchers in 18 and 19 or 17 and 18. I can't remember what it was. And both those guys are a little higher upside, and it kind of sounds like they think they can sign everybody. Although they also, I feel like, say that every year that they can sign everybody, and then they end up, leaving 2 or 3 unsigned. But overall, I liked, in a draft that was not heavy on depth, I liked getting the upside talent early on. But it's high school players, so we'll see.
Yeah. They took a couple of guys, Grayson Bowles and Dylan Wood, high school guys, down in round 18 and 19, which it seems to me that is basically the plan there is to, if we don't get one of the guys up top signed, we'll throw some extra money at these guys. Cause from what I hear, they're unlikely to get signed, which I find interesting that we're down to 20 rounds. And there are a lot of people that didn't like that it was down to 20 rounds, right? That, a lot of people in the industry like, oh, that's not enough. Well, you still got room to take a couple of guys that are fail safes, so I 20 rounds, I think is pretty good. You want to stock your system, and your system's not as big as it used to be, but I thought that was interesting that they're still like, those guys are unlikely to sign unless
Well, there's still undrafted free agents too. It's not like you can't sign other players.
Yeah, oh yeah, you can go get it, and that puts more on the scouts and everything like that. But yeah, it's not like these are the only guys you can use. Everybody else heads to independent ball. No, I do agree on that. But I just like, for the hand wringing that came with, we only have this many picks, so we're still throwing two of them that are just backup plans that are unlikely to sign. Les, anything jump out at you about what the Royals did in the draft?
Yeah, I'm curious. You guys, I double checked this so you guys can be my triple and quad check. But of the 20 rounds, did you guys see that 14 of them were right-handed pitchers?
And I think a lot of that is that right? I mean, I did not.
I mean,
tally
some of them might be
right.
like also position players. I was surprised by the amount of right-handed pitchers the Royals took, or if they're also position players, the ability to throw. That they also pitch. But I was just shocked by that. I didn't see a whole lot of left-handed pitchers.
12 of them, 12 right-handed
12
pitchers.
of 14. Yeah, which I mean, still, it's a pretty high number for right-handed pitchers. I mean, I was just a little shocked by that. Maybe they think that we're inundated with lefties in the organization. I don't know. I do like the top side guys. I like spending more money on the high school kids that have the bigger upside, have a lot more time to adjust. You made that comment earlier about, a lot of people don't like the impatience of high school kids. They're high school kids.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I wanted to swing at everything because I wanted to hit. I didn't want to walk. So I think that's a little stretchy. But yeah, I mean, I like it. I really like some of those middle picks. And again, probably because I was a late pick. And by the way, if they went to 20 rounds in the 1990s, I'm never a professional athlete. So Mike Piazza never plays in the major leagues. So, I would love to see a little bit more given the opportunity. So, I also have a son who's 6'1", 175, who can play middle infield, who took a little time off, but is maybe interested in going back into playing after that year off. So, I'm all for them extending that draft because he's a stud. So we'll see. But I like Nolan Saylor from Creighton. I love that pick. Fourth rounder. He can run, he can hit. He's that bats left, throws right kind of guy. I think that's right. If I don't have that switch, but I just think he has a good makeup and runs well. I think my favorite is the undersized pick in the 6th round with Tariq Kemp. I watched video on this guy for Baylor, and man, this guy, not only can he pick it, and I know he's undersized, but he can still hit, has good pop for a little dude. But right now we have a hole at second base, and this dude can flat pick it. And I don't know if you watch video on Tariq Kemp, but as soon as the ball goes to his glove, if he has to leave his feet and dive to his right or his left, I don't know that I've ever seen somebody get up so fast, square their feet, square their shoulders, and make a strong, accurate throw to a base. I mean, it was impressive just how fast and lightning quick this dude is. So those two are some of my favorite picks. So I think they did a good job in this year's draft. It's interesting to me, last point, is that like with Sean Gamble, says 6'1", 188. Sean Gamble might soaking wet be 168. So it's funny how they tweaked that a little bit to make it look a little bit better. I like the fact that the Royals have faith in their own system, that they're going to build these guys up, because there are holes in these kids' swings. But overall, I'd give them an A in the draft. I like what I saw.
Yeah. 5'7", by the way. You mentioned the size on Tariq Kemp.
And not related to Tony Kemp.
Yeah.
Another one, not related. How is he not related to Tony Kemp? Come on.
Or is it Sean Kemp?
Yeah.
He is Sean Kemp.
There's a lot of people related to Sean Kemp. Yeah, Sean Kemp had
real
lot.
So you just increase the odds.
Yeah.
Tony Kemp might be related to Sean Kemp, but 81 lefties were drafted in how many picks? I don't even know how many picks there were. But
30 times 20, 600.
But then there's a handful more. There's even more than that. But yeah, it's I'm curious now how many picks there were.
And then there's the compensation picks on top.
Yeah,
of it, so
615 picks. So 81 out of 615, which I would bet is lower than usual. I don't know though. I might be wrong.
Yeah, it does.
I've been wrong before.
It does seem low. This is the year that nobody had any left-handers out there. We're not. We know this is Brian Bridges' event now for the Royals. And we like Jack Caglione, at least the early returns. We like him to hit more. at the big league level, but it looks like that was a really good pick. But the unfortunate part is you don't really know what you got in Brian Bridges. Like, everybody has praised that hiring. You don't know what you got till we're 3, 4, 5 years into it. Like, we know this. They have to get it right. Like, a big part of why they had the downturn after, the success, like you cannot deny it. And I think you would say for the number 2 and number 3 overall pick, Mike Moustakas and Eric Hosmer were probably mild disappointments on what their careers were for being, again, number 2 overall and number 3 overall picks, but an accumulation of Alex Gordon, who I understand Dayton Moore inherited, but Alex Gordon, number 2 overall pick, Mike Moustakas, number 2 overall pick, Eric Hosmer, number 3 overall pick. He didn't do much, but he was on the roster. Christian Colon, I think, was number 4 or 5. I can't remember which number he was. Luke Hochaver was 1-1. I mean, that, and everybody I named there underachieved for where they were picked. Maybe not Alex Gordon at number 2, being a Royals Hall of Famer and a perennial Gold Glover. You'd say, no, listen, for being number 2, that he's probably maybe an average number 2 overall pick. Nobody greatly exceeded expectations, right? With those, and that was the core of what you had on that team, or was some of the core, and you kind of really underachieved in the draft. And then after that, the draft was so bad that it's been a 10-year malaise that the organization's been in because so these picks, now you're picking lower, presumably going to continue to pick lower. I do like the creativity. I do like how they are trying to manipulate the money and go for the bigger high-end players, but they absolutely have to, be successful in this. By the way, Terry asked this, he said, JJ have too much influence on the draft? I mean, if he does, it's not what they report. JJ said, well, I haven't seen all these guys play. That was one of his comments. I mean, he really, I think, has hired, and maybe that's just a smart play to maintain his job for the long run, be able to distance him. Maybe that's how John Sherman wants it, because he's like, listen, the baseball draft's a crapshoot, so keep you away from it because I don't want to have to fire you for some bad picks. Put it all on that guy, and we'll turn that position over. I don't think that's it, because I don't think that's how they do business. I don't think that's how John Sherman does business. I don't think JJ Picola would participate in that kind of charade. He has hired Brian Bridges to do the draft. And Brian Bridges, Brian Bridges will be the guy who will be fired or celebrated based upon how this draft goes. Is certainly the way I understand it.
Real quick, I have a fun stat that I haven't totally vetted, so it might be a little bit off. But I looked up Baseball Reference WAR since 2018 in the draft, using players, giving the WAR they put together for the team that drafted them and the players that came back for them. I looked at 3 teams. I looked at the Royals, who are terrible drafters. I looked at the Guardians, who consistently have talent. I looked at the Orioles, who have been praised as great drafters. The Royals have the highest total.
And what's the time period?
Since 2018.
2018.
Which is, I was shocked. I looked that up and I'm going, I don't want to look at the Orioles. I don't want to see
who's carrying the weight on that.
Yeah, there's got to be somebody heavy carrying that weight.
Every team's got somebody heavy. Bobby Witt's carrying the weight.
Oh, that's
big time. But Brady Singer, let's see, Witt. I don't have it in front of me. I just remember that I looked up the other day and wrote it down and was surprised by it. Bobby Witt's number 1.
The top end guys, yeah, and there is a bit of a cherry picking there, because
it is.
You have Chris Bubich, Daniel Lynch, Brady Singer, all on there and putting up WAR. Then Bobby Witt, number 2 overall pick. Nick Lofton is now up and carrying.
Vinny and Kyle Isbell is on that list too from 2018.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, again, you go back to 2017 and they fall to second out of those 3. I looked it up, but
let's go back from there. Just first rounders: Nick Prado, Ash Russell, Nolan Watson.
People are eating, Soren. People are eating breakfast. Stop.
Foster Griffin, Chase Ballard, Dozier. No,
I'm not. I don't mean to say the Royals are great drafters. I just think it's funny, the perception.
I think it's a great point. Listen, we're not trying to sell people on an agenda here. I think it's important to put that out there to put into context. Okay. Yeah. And then there was a change with who was doing the drafting in 18, right? Like
that was the year, right? That
Danny Ontiveros was out.
Yeah.
And they got in there. Bobby Wood Jr. is also a big part of the equation.
That's huge. But I mean, for the Orioles, Adley Rutschman's there. Who they picked right before him. So,
well, in some ways, the Orioles picked Bobby Wood Jr. for the Royals.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't want to. I always give credit. They put
the Royals would have taken Rutschman.
They could have. Yeah, they would have. But
Yeah.
I mean, that decision got taken out of their hands, and it looks like they got the better player.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yep.
A high
in a
school player
way,
without a lot of patience.
yeah. In a way,
Not saying Sean Gamble is Bobby Witt Jr.
yeah. In a way, though, the Orioles made that pick for him. If you believe that it was a 2-player decision for that number 1 overall pick. How about the decision for the 5th starter? Right now, and I love. To me, it was greatly underreported when Michael Lorenzen went out with an oblique. It was like, okay, well, he could only miss. Like now, the reports are, and I don't know if it's because the Royals just aren't putting a timeline on it, but they're talking about like the lowest grade strain usually takes 2 or 3 weeks. Like less. This is if you and for me, what this did was, I don't think they're a contender. I don't think they're a team that can win playoff games. I think they should be selling. And I'm not happy that Michael Lorenzen's hurt, but my hope is that this pushes them to my side of the street and they look for the future because they don't have an answer for the 5th starter. And I understand that Michael Lorenzen is not the end all be all, but it's on top of no Cole Reagans, right? It's on top of you can't hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where do they? What is the best option for the 5th starter? Is it Daniel Lynch?
Yeah, for me, it's not Daniel Lynch. Are you asking me or David?
Well, either way. I mean, go ahead. I mean, where would you go?
Yeah, I don't think it's Daniel Lynch for me. I mean, he's on the injured list anyway right now.
But isn't he supposed to be back?
Yeah.
Have they said anything about that?
Say that again.
I haven't seen anything that they've said when he's coming back.
Let me see. No, I don't see a timeline either.
It could be a while.
So probably. For first of all, how does a guy with like 2% body fat and legs the size of tree trunks pull something? I'm amazed that
because it's all muscle. There's nothing but muscle on his body.
Yeah. So maybe he couldn't pull any fat. There's no fat there to pull. Maybe it was in the weight room, not in a pitch. I don't know. But Daniel Lynch to me isn't the answer because he could be brilliant for 1 or 2 innings and then he can walk 4 or 5 guys in the next inning. So for me, there's a little bit of inconsistency there. I feel like his role, I think he's going to make most of his money in a long term if he stays healthy as a middle relief guy in the big leagues. I don't think he's your answer at starter. I mean, why did they sign Dallas Keuchel? Is it Rich Hill for right now until Reagans gets healthy? Is it, I looked up some of the AAA, AA's got nobody right now. Their 4 main starters are all with ERAs over 4.1. Kudrin is 1-6 right now as your biggest prospect. In AAA, I looked up Andrew Hoffman, and it's not because I went to college in Joliet and he was born there. Okay, maybe it is a little bit. But, I mean, he's got 55 Ks and 39 innings with a 2.31 ERA. I mean, that's an option, but it's probably not your 5th starter option. It would just be a spot start option. So my answer is that I don't have an answer for that. I mean, it's just – and right now it's not like coming off the All-Star break. They're off today. They pick back up tomorrow in Miami, and then they're in Chicago. There's not really a whole lot of off days like they do at the beginning of the season. They need their 5-man rotation right now. So I'm watching very closely because I have no idea who this is going to be. No clue.
Yeah. What do you think, David?
Yeah. So, I mean, Lorenzen last pitched on the 6th, which means that if he hurt himself before he was sick, which, by the way, 2nd player to be sick and then go on the IL for an injury. That's interesting. But if he did hurt himself, that could factor in the timeline. And he doesn't need to pitch. They don't need to fill his spot until Tuesday. Yeah. And then they're off every Thursday for a couple weeks. So they are off on the 24th, 31st, 7th, and 14th, which means they play 6 games a week for the next 4 weeks. So it is doable to cobble together bullpen games. It's not recommended, I wouldn't say.
Well, but is this the team that can do that?
4 times in a month too?
It's a lot. It's a lot. And I mean, we saw what happened on what day was that? Was that Saturday they did it? When Lorenzen got scratched, and it was the offense that lost the game. They gave up 3 runs. So can they do that every week? Twice a week in a couple instances. I wouldn't count on it. If you're looking at the options in AAA, it's Thomas Hatch or Dallas Keuchel or Rich Hill. And look, I think any of them are capable of going out and giving you 6 innings and 3 runs at any given time. But if I'm getting on my betting app, I'm not betting on that to happen. I won't be shocked if you look at the box score and all of us and Dallas Keuchel got a win, but I wouldn't count on it.
Yeah, again, and we're going to see. Maybe Michael Lorenzo is going to be a minimum stay on the IL, and he's going to be back. I don't know. Maybe Cole Reagans is going to be first day eligible. He's going to be back and back with a vengeance. I don't know.
But that's still August 7th.
But right. But I'm saying I'm compounding. These are the things that you're dealing with while you're already trying to dig out of a hole. You're not trying to, hold off on it with a 5-game cushion. Like, hey, can we get there? Or how do I supplement this to keep us in the position we're already in? You have already dug a hole. You're trying to climb out of the hole. And it's why, for me, I'm hoping this sets their course as we're not contenders, because those are best case scenarios with both those guys. And I don't think you're going to realize the best case scenario with both those guys. And you mentioned Rich Hill. The best case scenario is 6 innings and 3 allowed, which is not enough to win.
No, not with this team. Nope.
They routinely lose. They routinely score less than 4 runs.
Mm-hmm.
That probably means you're going to lose most of his games. Like I think you're not accepting the fact that the only reason you have the record you do is because you have been so unbelievable at pitching. You have no margin for error. You cannot win games unless you have a great day on the mound, which they usually do. But the people that have produced that, and I know Michael Lorenzen, the one thing Lorenzen does, I know his ERA is never sparkling and he always gives up some runs, but he still doesn't. I can't stress how much PTSD from a fan standpoint we still have from the days of, God, I've even tried to block out the names of who it was, but the Kyle Davies and the
that 20 Brad Keller. I mean,
yeah. Well, where it would be 1 2/3, 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned, 3 walks, 2 Ks, and then 7+ innings of bullpen worn out. So then the next day, when you did get 6 innings of 3 runs, the bullpen was dead, and they gave up 4 runs in the 3 innings that they had to go get. That's what you get back to. Like the whole thing of whatever you are, the foundation is that every single day you go out there and I'm not going to set fire to the bullpen, and I'm going to be in the game because my pitching staff is not going to just get blown up. That's not the case with Rich Hill or Dallas Keuchel standing on the bump, right? And you can't afford to be like, well, we'll donate every 5th day because we'll dominate the other 4. No, you won't.
No,
you won't.
The only thing I could see is, and I've said this before, if they go out, they need a starter. They need a long-term starter. They still do. So if somebody's out there who they can go out and acquire, and again, this goes back to my idea that I think if they buy, it will be long-term in mind that they hope can maybe help them in 2025. I think they could go get a starter like a Jake Irvin from Washington or somebody like him. But in the organization, it's bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a rough look. Just real quick, what's your expectation for the second half, Les? I mean, do you optimism, pessimism?
I don't think it's pessimism so much as it's what's been proven on the field. I mean, I'm sure a longer rest for most of these guys are going to help a little bit, but Miami and Chicago get rest too. I mean, they're going into Chicago, and the Cubs are one of the best teams in all of baseball. So it's not going to be an easy stretch. I know that I think I heard somewhere where the second half, the Royals have the second easiest schedule. Is that right, David? Have you seen that too?
I was going to bring that up, and I was looking up. I don't know if you guys get on this tankathon.com. They have the Royals as the 20th toughest schedule, so 11th easiest.
Yeah, because I'm glad you brought that up, David, and I'm glad Les, you brought it up. But David, to your point about that, you have to add context to that. It is, if what you're doing is quantity of games against teams below 500.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are games against teams that look just like the Royals. They're 2, 3, 4 games below, because that's where a lot of the American League is right now. So if you do it by quantity of games below 500, I think it's misleading. And I don't like hearing that, because to me, if that's the hat that the Royals organization is going to hang on to, well, this is why we're in it. We've got the easiest schedule. based on the context of quantity of games. Go 7 days from now, and 2 of those teams may have flipped to above 500 teams. And now, all of a sudden, we've got the 9th toughest schedule because now, the 9 games we've got left, or 6 games we've got left against this team, and 6 games we got left against. Now, 12 of those games are now tough games, right? So you have to put it into context, David. I'm glad you went to Tankathon on that because, yes, it's easier, but it's not a cakewalk, right? Like,
well, my point to that and bringing that up was simply the fact that might look good on statistically on websites and things. But again, if you're not scoring runs, none of that matters. So it's not pessimism. It's not optimism. It's what we've seen already. So based on experience, I don't see much of a change. If you're only scoring less than 4 runs a game, what are 5 days off going to do? I mean, it's just not. The Royals have been that way, not because they've been tired. It's because they just have not been able to hit. I mean, there's still lack of extra base hits with the bases loaded, lack of this, lack of that. I mean, it has been an absolute struggle. The situational hitting with runners on second base and nobody out, leadoff doubles that don't even get moved over, even if they don't score. I haven't even seen guys try. I'm not asking Bobby Witt Jr. or Vinny Pasquantino or guys like that to bunt every time. That's not what I'm asking. What I would like to see is somebody to keep their hands inside the ball and try in the first 2 strikes to hit a ground ball to the right side or a deep fly ball to right field. They can do that. I was making $100,000 and I was trained to do that. And I tried to do that. And I did throughout the minor leagues, at least, did a decent job of when there's a guy on second base. I don't care if I'm hitting 3-hole. I'm in the minor leagues. I've got a decent average, but my job is to get that guy to third base so the guy behind me, who's also trained to do it, can hit. If the infield's in, hit a line drive and a fly ball and not swing at the first pitch, which is a heavy right-handed sinker to a right-handed hitter because I'm just so nervous and anxious. I'm going to go ahead and ground out to the third baseman or the shortstop, and then he doesn't score. I've seen that so many times this year. So to end it, I feel like we're going to see just much of the same thing, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, I did 11 of the last 14 games going into the break, they scored 4 runs or less. 8 of those 14, they scored less than 4. There were 3 games that were exactly 4. So it's not like the offense was cured and fixed. There are a couple of 9-run efforts in there and a 6-run game that, if you're like, well, we're averaging, okay, but consistently. I mean, Curtis has clocked it. If they score over 6, I can't remember if it's 6 that he uses. The next game they average like less than 2 runs a game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I love the optimism of Rex Hudler. Anytime they score a run, he's like, the offense is coming around. That's awesome. Ryan said we're part of the PR team. We're not journalists, and so I get it. Rex is preaching eternal optimism, but it isn't true. There is no reason to think the offense is coming around right now. David, your expectations are?
Let me see. I'm looking. They haven't been shut out in 16 games, so I don't know what you guys are worried about with this offense. It's been a while.
It's a start.
No, I think that, look, you can look at this team, and I don't think, well, it's a little difficult with all the pitching injuries now, but I don't think it's that tough to squint and say, okay, 65 games, they can win 37 of them. I don't think they will. It's possible. I think what are they? 47 and 50.
And they're actually and this is a credit to Quatrero. They're two games ahead of expected. Yes.
So let's even say they're actually a 45 and 52 team. What is that gets out to about 75 wins? That's what we're gonna see. I mean, unless something happens that we haven't seen this season, which it very well could. But unless something changes and all of a sudden 1 through 6 start to hit, which they have a little bit more, we've seen a little bit of it, but unless that changes, this is the team they are. And I don't think they're going to sell big enough. We talked before the season about, okay, you're 10 up, 10 down, but also after the deadline, sometimes you're 15 down because your team is toast. I don't think they're going to trade enough pieces to totally tank the season, but I mean, they're going to be, 2 or 3 games. I don't know what's possible with odd numbers. I think it's 3 games under. They're going to be a few games under 500 the rest of the year and end up at 75, 76, 77 wins. And it'll be just like normal, like although better than recent past. But I think that's where they end up.
One word. We'll close with this. Do they buy or sell between now and the deadline? Because the Adam Frazier deal, I don't think it really signals either one. Les, do they buy or sell?
Sell.
David?
Neither.
They do neither. They just sit.
I mean, I think they'll probably. You said for one word, so I'm breaking your rule.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
I do think I think they're going to look at a long-term buy strategy, and they don't have much. I think they might sell a little bit, but kind of fence. I guess I'll say on the fence, both.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. You can support the Kaufman Corner podcast by supporting our great sponsors like David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. Give Dave and his crew a call at 816-781-7331. They can take care of all of your insurance needs. Great folks. They do a fantastic job. I know. As I call David Starnes, Allstate Insurance. Whataburger for a limited time. Get the Pico de Gallo burger, the sweet and spicy bacon burger, the honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich, and my personal favorite, the patty melt. It is available right now at Whataburger. You know, they're open 24 hours a day serving breakfast, 11 p to 11 a. Wash it all down with the banana pudding shake. And our friends at Greenlight Dispensary, 15 locations in Missouri. More on the way. Greenlight is the go-to for all your cannabis needs. Tell them you saw them right here on the Kaufman Corner podcast. For David Lesky, for Les Norman, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on Kaufman Corner.